Alright guys, today's video I'm going to talk a lot about debt, tyrannical governments, and what you guys can do to help beat this inflation. This video is not going to do good by YouTube. It never does. But I think this is important to talk about. So if you guys will like and share this video, because it's going to help with the YouTube algorithm, and it's just how it is. You talk about real stuff on YouTube and it will get basically delisted. And if you want to talk about simple things that basically, I'll say crap, is going to go viral. So please get that video out there, guys. Help as many people as you can with this information, and let's continue. We're looking at the U.S. national debt. Now, we're currently at 31 trillion, 308 billion, 206 million. Like almost every single second, literally every single second, we're going up thousands of dollars. Now, we have to pay this back, and our politicians and government leaders are not going to pay this back. They're going to print into infinity. Now, we can't stop them. I mean, we can try, but I would say through the manipulation of the media, what's been happening over the last 100 years since the Federal Reserve Act, we've been dumbed down to a point where people don't even understand what's happening. Because if we look across all these countries, they're typically doing the exact same thing. One, basically spending recklessly. Now, we can look at the world debt clocks. And we're going to look at that the world is spiraling into more debt. What this does, guys, is create people as financial slaves. Because if you know how someone spends, you know their actions. These countries typically know what people do with their money. They have a lot of it monitored. They can control a lot of your actions through this. And with this scandemic, plandemic happening, this is going to be even worse for people. And remember, when it comes to debt and it comes to inflation, governments control this stuff with their mass manipulation of markets also. Because if you think we have free markets, we haven't had free markets for a very long time. Now let's go to some specific countries. Now here's China's national debt. So now, insane amount, basically. And this is measured in yen if you guys want to see it. But if you guys see the the interest per debt, the debt as GDP is 45.58%. I know you can't see it because of myself, but the population is 1.4 billion. Interest per second. So we can convert the currency to a different one. Like you can convert to the dollar or convert to something else. But it's quite insane. Every second there's $5,565 added to the interest. Now we look at the national debt of the United Kingdom. So these are basically people are putting these individuals in power, and they're just spending recklessly while they're enriching themselves. Typically with the cases per country, despite which country it is. Here's South Korea. You can see that their debt it's actually insane. It's going up higher and higher, which converts this to dollars. Now, some countries are worse. Like one of the worst countries financially when it comes to their government and manipulation, especially when it comes to prices. You have Japan is really a bad one, and China is a bad one. But their GDP, their debt to GDP is very hard. So that's why I want to transition and talk about interest rates also, because interest rates across the board are never going to catch up to their inflation. And inflation is relatively high, and the way that, just say America right now, the way American government measures inflation is a lie. They take out energy and they take out food. They do this to manipulate you to think that inflation is lower than it actually is, but it's much, much higher. And they'll keep on changing the definition that suits them and not suit you. Alright, so let's get into some things that can actually, benefit you a little bit more. So the dollar versus Korean won. You can see the dollar since like 2020, the dollar has been doing almost 30% higher over the last couple of years. So the dollar versus won, the dollars basically has better purchasing power. Now we'll look at dollar to CAD. Same thing, dollar to CAD has been doing really, really good. So if you had dollars, you're going to be able to purchase more. Now we look at the euro. You can see the dollar-euro. The dollar has been doing amazing against it. And also we can look at Australian dollar versus the dollar. And the dollar has been doing, once again, good. So the dollar is the reserve currency of the world. Most transactions result in dollars. So when it comes down to this, guys, if you see that the dollar is a safe haven temporarily, this might make international investments more lucrative to people, making things cheaper for them if they hold on to dollars or make dollar income. So now my next transition is into gold and precious metals, and there's a reason for that, because like you start looking at since 1913, if you look at this chart, you see the dollar was really solid when it first came out, but then it just died. And you see that gold basically absorbed that inflation and has gone higher and higher. So that's why I talk about precious metals so often, because I think precious metals is one of the best hedges against a tyrannical government, basically. If we look at the dollar purchasing power chart on the Fed's, on the Fred, that basically this is a government website. Since 1913, the dollar has been doing bad. Now, this is all fiat currencies. If you look at their charts, all fiat currencies all go down. And this doesn't really affect the richer classes because they have assets that can absorb this inflation. When it comes to the average person, they're not. They're going to get basically melted. And it's going to be harder and harder as the years go. It's going to be very difficult for the majority of people to even beat it. Now, let's talk about silver. Now, we look at silver over the years, okay? Take off the inflation log. We can see that, once again, silver starting off at pennies, 51 cents, to higher and higher. Now, did silver change at all? No, silver's been the same thing. It's just that the governments basically manipulate the markets. And remember, they made gold and silver illegal. That's how you know when governments say in their constitution. So here's the constitution, guys. This is something that most politicians, obviously almost all of them, do not follow. And there's good reason for it. Their reasoning is that if they were constricted financially, they wouldn't have the power to basically take as much power as they want. So as they can print more and make fake money, or what I call currency, they are allowed to do this, and they are allowed to obtain more power. And this is why when it comes to like insider trading, for them is legal, for us is illegal. There's obviously a corrupt politician or corrupt system that we have, and that's what I think the United States is, and most countries are just corrupt. The level of corruption is so big that they can typically get away with anything, like hence Hillary Clinton, stuff like that. But if you guys go to the Constitution, Section 8, Article 1, Section 8, and Subsection 5, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? To coin money, regulate the value of thereof, and a foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures. So basically, it's talking about it has to be measured by some type of value. And if you read some of the talks of other founding fathers talking about the precious metals or gold and silver, because they can't manipulate it. Now, if you watch like the hidden secrets of money, that will give you a lot more insight what I'm talking about. But this is like not that in-depth video. But basically, when government's allowed to print what they want, they're allowed to control the people. That's just how it is. The first thing that any country does prior to it going bananas is just control the money. Control how they spend, control their actions, because you know if you control X amount of inflation, you print this amount, you know they have to work this many hours, you know how, you start to break down how to control people. And especially when you have them, like most of the media just put out lies, then you have an even bigger compounding problem. So that's silver chart, guys. Now let's look at the Fed's balance sheet. So here's the Fed since like 2003, and you can see the Fed's balance sheet has been exploding, and gold catches up, and I think it's going to catch up even more. And when it comes to that recession in 2007, that was 100% manipulated by the government. This is going to compound even more, and we haven't left that recession. All they did was paper over it, and all that paper went into the financial markets. Hence why we have like record highs and all of them. Right now, currently. But guys, so I think that one of the solutions is that if you have a strong dollar, look at international investments, look at precious metals, see if you can get like international dividends or international capital gains, and do what you can out overseas, because maybe their markets are not as manipulated, or if they're manipulated, maybe they're at a low versus American stocks now. I think they're going to go much lower. So there could be a hedge on that. And it sucks kind of weird that we pay capital gains and taxes on precious metals. Doesn't make any sense. But just how it is, guys. We have a corrupt system as it is. But if you want to learn more, guys, about economy, trading charts, please check out my website. It has everything on there. I have free education, so not a paid course, free course. So try that out, guys, and learn more. And that's the video, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.